Howdy, folks. I'm inspiring Indium, imaginatively imparting impressive ideas.
I'm Amber.
I see, Amber, that, we have given me some positive characteristics today.
Yes, yeah, you were complaining about the character assassination, so my hands were tied.
I feel like this is insincere now. Let's get started. I didn't poison her.
Or did he?
Alright, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Changing the Wedding Venue My Fiance Chose to Something More Flashy as a Surprise? I'm a 25-year-old male, and I'm marrying a 24-year-old female this coming October. We have both very large families, but hers is really poor and kind of traditional. As a result, my fiance has always been taught to go for the cheapest option throughout her life, whether we are going out to eat, or buying clothes, or going on holiday. Well, we've been planning the wedding, and the choice of the venue was typical for her, a small local church where she was christened. Right off the bat, the place isn't suitable for the number of guests that will be invited, and I knew that she only chose the location because of money, which is not an issue. I spoke to my father, and he agreed that he would fund a wedding abroad in Venice. I'm their only child, so getting married is a big deal, and he arranged transportation for all of the guests. He agreed to cover all the costs, so obviously I changed the venue and sent out the invitations. I knew that the money spent would make her anxious, and she has always dreamed of visiting Venice, so I waited to tell her until it was organized as a surprise. Well, she didn't take it well, and said that I was a massive jerk, and that she had much preferred the church venue. She said that it was too embarrassing now to cancel it, that I've told people, and she seems really mad. But I'm confused since the venue was never practical, and I'm wondering if I'm the jerk here, or if she's overreacting. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think OP's being a jerk here. I mean, making a unilateral decision about something that big is never a good idea. And
Yeah.
there's a big difference between wanting to visit Venice someday and having your wedding abroad in an unfamiliar place that you've had no say in.
Yeah, I think that they're both having trouble communicating at this point in time, and I certainly think that this should be a mutual decision on where they have their wedding and what the venue is. And if he had a problem with the venue to begin with, I think that he should have brought those concerns up and said, look, I think that while I really like the idea of this church wedding, I don't think that this is going to be a big enough venue for as big of our families.
Exactly, but just to go ahead and assume, oh, she only picked this because of money, like she
Yeah.
was christened there, so it may have an important sentimental value.
Well, and I think that actually shows that it goes beyond the money here, because she wouldn't be upset if it was just the money. And if she really valued like going to Venice over this church wedding, then I think she would have been excited. And I don't honestly feel that OP had bad intentions here, though I don't know if everyone will agree with me on that.
I am of two minds. Part of me thinks that he may have just really wanted a bigger wedding and known she wasn't going to go along with it, so he was like, I'll just set everything up and
Yeah.
bill it as a surprise.
And she might not like flashy big things, right? And if OP wants a big flashy wedding and she doesn't want a big flashy wedding, and it might make her uncomfortable and feel like overwhelmed, then there probably needed to be a discussion about the size of the wedding to begin with too.
Well, and there's a big difference to travel to, like a chapel down the road, and travel countries. Like, are all her family members going to be able to get time off from work to travel to the wedding? I understand that they're in Europe. I think they said in the comments that they were in Poland, so it's not quite as big as like going from the US to Europe, but like it's still. Is he sure that all her friends and family are going to be able to make it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important concern, and I think that by not talking and planning this out together, it really did do a disservice to both of them, and it kind of shows that maybe they have a little bit of work to do before getting married, to be quite honest. And about a lot of different expectations, and those are important conversations to have.
Well, I also don't like how he kind of thinks that his decision can win up hers, because instead of like sitting down and being like, hey, I really don't know if this venue is going to accommodate all of our friends and family. Can we find somewhere bigger? He's just like, ugh, I'm just going to go ahead and talk to my dad and get him to fund us a big old wedding.
Yeah, I guess to me it really depends on his intentions here, and it's not clear to me what his intentions are exactly. If he wanted to supersede her and thought that, if he really sincerely thought that she was going to like the surprise, and it just turns out that it was one of those things where he just didn't read it right, then I'm a little less critical on him. But if it was actually a selfish reason where he's like trying to play this off as, oh, I'm doing her a favor, but it's actually a favor to him, then I feel very different about it.
Well, I mean, even I still feel like even if he thought he was doing something nice, just the way he thinks he can supersede her decisions, like what other surprises might he pull out? Like,
Yeah.
here's your car. You never wanted a flashy car, but now we've got this flashy car because, surprise.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's why I say that they really need to sit down and have some serious discussions about what their expectations are in relationships, and maybe even go to couples counseling before getting married to kind of start to work on better communication skills. And I really don't think that this is like a deal breaker or anything like that. It sounds like she's still going to be at the wedding, right? It's not like she's like, no, we're over.
Well, and another possibility is that they could have a little service at the chapel with just like immediate family and
Oh,
very
yeah.
close friends or something so they can both have the wedding they want.
I think that's a really good compromise too. It might be one of these situations where she would feel better about having the first wedding at the smaller chapel, maybe even a smaller ceremony with more close friends and family, right? Whereas they'll have a large wedding at Venice and have the full shebang there. So let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And username 52 says, you're the jerk. You gave her no say in any of it. You picked a venue, picked a different country, scheduled a date, made a guest list, chose the invitations. Maybe she chose the church because of personal meaning. Maybe she chose it because it was cheaper. The wedding should be planned out by both of you, which means if you didn't like the venue, it's fine to say no. Try to find a venue that you're both okay with, something bigger, more options, but still relatively local. Did you even confirm that her closest family would be able to make it? Even if your dad pays for all the travel expenses, not everyone can afford to take time off of work or travel that far. How soon is it? Are you in the EU? If her family is not well off and you live in the US, then a lot of them probably don't have passports. Also, if she really wants to go to Venice, there is probably a lot of things that she wants to do there, and that would be a lot harder around a wedding. She probably enjoyed it a lot more as a honeymoon. And you have such a vastly differing opinions about money. There are major conversations you need to have in general before marriage, which hopefully doesn't happen because she deserves someone who respects her. Do you live together? How are bills paid? And OP replies, we're in Poland.
That leaves a lot out, and that actually raises another big flag. So he didn't address the guest list, and if he made the guest list on his own without consulting her and sent the invites, that's also a big issue.
Well, it sounds like he said he changed the venue, so what I'm guessing is that he ended up sending out invites again. At least that's what I'm hoping. A very charitable interpretation of this is that they originally sent out invitations and he went behind them and sent out new invitations. But I don't know. We're speculating here. There's no way for us to know this information. Especially since OP didn't answer any of the
Yeah,
questions.
other than to say that they're in Poland.
Alright, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Reporting This Girl's Wildly Inappropriate Behavior to My Manager? I'm a 27-year-old male, and I go to the pool every morning around 8 a.m. to swim before I work. I noticed that one of the lifeguards was very attractive, and I started talking to her. Then started going to the pool a little earlier so that I could have a little more time to spend at the pool before I had to leave. Yesterday, I got there when they opened, and she was the one that opened the gates to get in, and she looked totally different than normal. During her first break, she went into the lifeguard office and I watched her put on her makeup. I felt like it was wildly inappropriate to put makeup on while you're at work. I left early, and while I was on my way out, I noticed the pool's manager office door was open, and he was in there. I stopped in to mention that she was putting on makeup while she was at work, and that seemed unprofessional to me. He asked me a few questions, and then said that he would talk to her. This morning I went into the pool and she wasn't there. I started worried that maybe she had been fired, so I stopped by the manager's office on my way out again and talked and asked where she was. And he said that due to her wildly unprofessional behavior, he used air quotes and was acting super sarcastic and mocking, that she had been moved to another pool and refused to tell me which one. He basically called me a jerk and said not to talk to the lifeguards anymore. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think OP's being a jerk here. Like, first of all, why is he watching her in the lifeguard station? Second of all, why does it matter what she's doing on her break? Like, putting on makeup of all activities is not going to be dangerous or set a bad example, or I don't know.
You know, OP, I have a little bit of life advice. Mind your own business.
Like,
There's
like
no harm in here.
exactly. Like, it would have been one thing if, like, there was a kid drowning and she's just sitting there applying lipstick.
Okay,
but
yeah.
she was on break and did not have any responsibilities, so why is it an issue?
Yeah, and if she had been doing something wrong or bad or whatnot, dangerous, then I could understand OP being like, hey, you shouldn't do that while you're at work. OP just seems like they have nothing better to do with their time than harass this poor woman who just is trying to do her job, right?
Yeah, and it seems like it's probably a bigger issue than this one incident from the way the manager is responding and the choice to move her. Like, I get the sense that this guy is monopolizing her time
Yeah.
in ways that's not appropriate at the pool.
Well, and I think that probably what happened is the manager talked to her and she said, oh yeah, he keeps getting to work early just to harass me and kind of tries to bother me while I'm at the pool. And the manager's like, okay, you should have talked to me about this sooner because I'm going to move you so that you don't have to deal with this guy anymore. Some variant on that conversation is what it seems like to me. I have no way of knowing this. I am just guessing.
But my big question, and this is kind of a tangent, is like, why, if you're crushing on this girl, why report her for putting on makeup? Like, was he hoping that she would put it on before she got to the pool because she looked different today? And I'm assuming by different he means not as attractive.
Yeah, I don't know what his motivations here were. I think that he just needs, at the end of the day, to mind his own business. And like you said, this isn't a good way of like getting to know somebody. I think he just has nothing to do better to do with his time other than to bother people who are working at jobs like this, right?
That's what it seems like.
So let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And MD Thomas says, please tell me how putting on makeup is wildly unprofessional. You're the jerk. And OP replies, it just seems like something that should be done at home and kept out of work. There might be policies at a workplace where you're not supposed to put makeup on or something like that. But I think that, again, you need to mind your own business and let the pool manage itself.
Right. I mean, this isn't like a lab. Like, there are some labs where you cannot apply makeup in them because there are dangerous chemicals and you can get hurt. But this is a pool.
Well, and again, like you said, if there had been actually people in the pool, maybe, and she was neglecting her duties, then there would have been a different story there. I think OP could have said, well, I saw some children playing around in the pool, and she was just too busy putting makeup on to notice that they were, playing and running and misbehaving, right? So, yeah, just seems like OP, again, needs to mind their own business. And Lies Trick says, so you got salty because a girl you were trying to creep on didn't look as good without makeup, and you decided to try to get her fired. Yes, you're the jerk on so many levels. Best leave it at that before they ban your stalker butt from the pool and call the cops. And since you posted this twice, I'll say it again, you're the jerk. And OP replies, my first post said that it wouldn't be posted because I didn't respond to the bot quickly enough, which does not address the accusations of creeping on her.
Which I was kind of getting the vibe that this was like a weird, like, oh, she doesn't look good without makeup, so I'm going to report her so she has to wear makeup in the morning or something.
Well, I really would have liked to have heard OP's defense there, and they had the opportunity to actually defend themselves, but the thing that they were more concerned about was answering that why the post was deleted in the first place, as opposed to whether or not they have any interest in this individual. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wanting My Mother-in-Law in the Delivery Room because she's been acting so weird since I got pregnant? I really liked my mother-in-law before I got pregnant, but since that point, she's been acting strange and I can't stand her. Almost like she's trying to one-up me or prove her place in her son's life. She didn't act like this prior to me becoming pregnant. So, since I got pregnant, she has been stopping in randomly with gifts for my husband. Things like tools, money, and jewelry. My husband hates jewelry, always has. The first time that she brought over a bracelet, I said, "Oh, I love that. I bought him one just like that, but he won't wear it." She said, "Well, I'm his mom, so he will wear it. It's a mom and son thing." Okay, weird, but whatever. He doesn't wear the bracelet. Then the money thing. Randomly trying to give him money, and he hates it. He's expressed it multiple times. She won't stop it, however. She keeps saying, "I want you to buy yourself something nice for once," etc., etc. Again, whatever, but it's just getting weirder. Like her randomly showing up at my doctor's appointments and telling the nurses that she's my husband's moral support and that she needs to hold him up. So, my baby shower was last week. I'm due in 5 days. She gets us a car seat, knowing that we already bought one. The car seat that we bought was $380 and it grows with the baby. The one that she bought us was $99 and it was an infant only car seat. She told him to return the one that we got because this one that I bought has sentimental value because I bought it. Then she turns to me and says, "I better get a phone call when the baby is coming so that I can be there to support my baby." And starts rubbing my husband's back while smiling up at him, and it just like grossed me out. I don't want her there, and her weirdness since finding out about my pregnancy is just pushing me over the edge, and I don't know what to do because she was not like this prior to finding out that I was pregnant. It's like a switch flip. My husband feels bad because we both know that this is not normal, and he doesn't know how to deal with it either. But I still don't want her in that room. It's going to make me mad if I'm sitting there in pain and she's going around kissing his butt when he and I should be supporting each other for such a big life moment and changing event. But my husband says that maybe we should just let her in the room and see if it goes back to normal afterwards. I'm totally against it, not only because her presence is causing him to act awkward and reserved due to her weirdness, but because of her mere presence has been making me mad lately. Am I the jerk? I did an ad for context. She has 2 daughters and another son, all of which have children. My husband is her youngest, and this is his first baby. She did not attend any of her other grandkids' births. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, I don't think OP's being a jerk here. And first of all, like, since OP is the one giving birth, she is well within her right not to have her mother-in-law in this very private moment, even if her mother-in-law was the best mother-in-law in the world.
Oh, of course.
But I think, especially with the weird behavior, like, the environment is already going to be very stressful. Like, you're in a medical environment, things can go wrong. The last thing OP needs is her mother-in-law stressing her out, cooing over, "Oh, you have such a hard time, honey. Why don't you sit down and have a drink," and whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. I think that this is a situation that should have been addressed a long time ago, right? I think that they needed to either get into group counseling or her husband needed to put his foot down and say, "Mom, you can't act like this." And I mean, I know that's hard because he loves his mother, but at this point in time, it's becoming a problem.
Right. And I don't think this is just going away. Like, he needs to step up yesterday and sit down with his mom and explain that what she is doing is making them very uncomfortable and that she's not going to be as involved in their lives if she keeps being weird like this.
Yeah.
Like, my guess is it seems like some weird sort of extended empty nest syndrome where her last child is having a baby, and so she's really afraid of losing that connection. Like, oh, well, my baby's having a baby and now he's going to be focused on his other family.
Yeah.
But this isn't an appropriate way to handle that.
No, I mean, I think this woman, I think she needs to go into therapy. I think that she has some troubles to work through, and I certainly don't think that this is an appropriate way for her to act at all, and I feel bad for OP. It sounds like OP has been very, very patient with her more than she deserves. I think, months ago, she would have been well within her rights to say, I want her to be as far away from me as possible.
Yeah, so I think it's important now for OP and her husband, either together or in a couples therapy session, so there's someone to help them, to set up the boundaries, and then for OP's husband to enforce them.
Yeah.
Because this needs to happen before the baby gets here. Because one, she's going to try and crash the hospital probably.
Yeah.
And OP's husband, it sounds like, is a pushover and would tell her when they go into labor and everything. And two, it could get worse. Like, I don't see this getting better. I only see it getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could get worse. And I think that needs to be something that is thought about. I know that the husband really wants things to go back to normal, but this acquiescing to her isn't going to cause things to go back to normal. It's just going to show her that she can get away with this behavior.
Right. It seems like he wants to avoid the discomfort of having a hard conversation with his mom and just wishful thinking it. And since this doesn't hurt him in the way it hurts OP, he's okay with just going along with it. And I think he really needs to start thinking about how this is affecting his wife, who he hopefully loves.
Yeah. And I also want to change gears a smidge here. I want to talk about the phone call.
Yeah.
All right? Like, the phone call. She expects OP, while she's going into labor, to give her a phone call to tell her that she's going into labor. Like, is she... Why? What in the world is she thinking here?
I mean, it's not uncommon for certain family members to be called when that happens, but, like, to assume that you're going to be invited in the room is a very big assumption to make.
Yeah. Well, I read it more like she was telling OP that she better get a phone call from her. So it felt very much like OP needs to pick up the phone and call her mother-in-law when she immediately goes into labor.
Yeah, well, it is. It's very demanding. It seems like she just feels entitled to everything about this.
Yeah.
Like, because this involves my son and he's my property, so I get a front row show to you giving birth.
Yeah. I think there's a lot wrong here, and hopefully OP and her husband can sit down and talk about this. And unfortunately, it's so close to the birth as it is that I don't know that they're going to have too much opportunity to actually address this properly, unfortunately.
Yeah, but OP's husband has to step up and put his foot down now and say, Mom, you're not in the delivery room, and please take a step back and stop doing this. Yeah. It's not okay.
Exactly. Let me know what you folks think, though. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Deletion says, not a jerk, your mother-in-law is acting whack. I say stick to your guns. You don't need the distraction while giving birth. Good luck, by the way. Hope everything works out well. And OP replies, thank you. And Chopped Liver 65 says, your comfort during the delivery is the only thing that matters. But mother-in-law isn't your biggest problem. It's your husband's job to protect you from this disturbing behavior. He needs to have your back and let his mother know that her nonsense won't be tolerated. You're not the jerk, but your husband may be if he doesn't get this under control.
Mm-hmm.
And Dinkleshops says, that's the thing though. He doesn't quite know what to do, and he's very conflicted. He is fully aware that his mother is acting weird, and he doesn't like it. But it's also his mother. Just saying that she cannot be there while his wife has a baby is a lot easier said than done. The only jerk here is the mom. The husband and OP are a very sticky situation, and it's a lot easier for OP to say that she doesn't want his mom around her.
I actually disagree with this one a lot. I mean, I understand it's uncomfortable to have uncomfortable conversations with your parents, but when they're acting inappropriately, you gotta do it. And I think he's a jerk for wanting to push OP's comfort aside and being like, well, we should just let her in. Like, he's not the one who's exposed and in pain and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I think he really needs to start empathizing with his wife and to step up.
Exactly. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
How would you describe Frankenstein's birth?
Well, that's a very appropriate joke. Did you plan this?
No.
Oh, really?
I was just going through and I was like, I haven't done this one yet.
Okay, well, you know how I would describe Frankenstein's birth? I would describe it as not a birth at all because he was sewn together with spare parts and then electrified back into life. And that to me does not equate to a birth. It wasn't like there was like a person who gave birthed Frankenstein all at once.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I think it would be better if it said, "How would you describe Frankenstein's creation?" But the answer is shocking.
Oh, shocking. I mean, I guess it was shocking in a lot of ways, right? I mean, I know what Jovial Bobstein was going there. I mean, you almost had it right, Jovial Bobstein. Almost. You were like a hair away. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday. Wow, we made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form as though you're saying it like a 1930s paperboy announcing the headlines.
Extra, extra, read all about it. It takes two to choose a wedding venue.
That's a good headline. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.